I just say a word, and the old hand next to me manifested the illusory shadow of a phoenix. When I accidentally said the word, in the radius of 100 meters, the desert miraculously grew lush and dense mud. Just as I spoke the two words, "Time," force in the void instantly sealed my mouth shut.
Oh, baby.
Just because who crossed into this different world discovered that Chinese are actually the divine language here. As long as I speak it out in Chinese, I can command as I wish, and relying on my outstanding talent in the divine Chinese, I had just joined and already became an elder of the Crimson Sect. Just when I was about to reveal my cultivation technique that absorbs 4倍吸收灵气 in front of the pretty sect master sister, I didn't expect my body couldn't withstand the massive influx of spiritual energy, and I screamed out in agony. I didn't anticipate that absorbing so much spiritual energy would be so painful, but I didn't stop. Instead, I gritted my teeth and painfully uttered two more words, 淬炼. As soon as the words left my mouth, the previously enormous spiritual energy was directly completely absorbed by my body. Luo Zi beside me had long been stunned speechless. As the sect master of Crimson Sect, her innate perceptiveness was naturally not lacking, but compared to me she was practically fuming with rage. Just what kind of demonic monster is this? And at this moment all the spiritual energy had also been completely absorbed by me. I was very curious to know what level I was at now. Luo Zi explained, you haven't even reached the most basic temporary realm yet, but with your speed of absorbing spiritual energy, you should be able to step into the temporary realm within a month. Little did she know my cultivation speed was beyond what this brain could comprehend, but it didn't really matter. Within this Crimson Sect, I still needed to check out the so-called skills and techniques. Only by fully understanding these derivations could I better utilize my golden finger. And so with a disciple under me, we entered the hall where the cultivation techniques were stored. Oh, isn't this Shirley who's at the third year of the temporary mirror realm? Why is there also a newbie who hasn't even reached the temporary mirror by his side? Cheng Yan's voice was full of ridicule. Cheng Yan, this is the new elder of Crimson Sect. You must not be rude. Hearing this, the few disciples present burst out laughing. Shirley, are you an idiot? He hasn't even reached the temporary realm with his abilities. You think I can't see that? But before he could finish speaking, I bellowed lowly, 实锤. The next moment, a gigantic stone hammer appeared before Cheng Yan and ruthlessly pressed him into the ground. Ling Ling into fog. This was a martial skill only those in the vaporization realm could perform. A useless trash who hadn't even defeated the temporary mirror. How could he possibly? Fear filled Cheng Yan's eyes. I looked at them indifferently. They naturally did not know. This was not some martial skill at all, but the ancient divine language. Only its might was not very strong yet. Cheng Yan arduously walked towards me, and the next moment, he actually bowed with clasped hands before me. It was this disciple who had blind eyes and failed to recognize the elder's presence. Please forgive me, elder. I nodded to indicate, and was too lazy to bicker with him. After all, I still had proper business to attend to. Immediately after, I picked up a cultivation technique and started reading, but my actions immediately attracted the surrounding disciples' attention again. Who reads cultivation techniques like that, thinking you can actually understand by reading like a book? What a pretentious act. But in a short while, I had finished reading the entire cultivation technique. These masses of words could be summarized in one sentence, which was 吸收水元素灵气. I uttered the sentence. Instantly, the water elemental spiritual energy around me gathered over. The disciples who were mocking me just now had faces of shock looking at me. How was this possible? That guy didn't seem to have reached the temporary realm yet, and his speed of absorbing spiritual energy was just monstrous. I naturally noticed the people around me, but I didn't bother with them one bit. Everyone had different attributes. Cultivating different techniques could increase one's strength faster. I also didn't know what attribute suited me. Next, I picked up a technique called Fire Net Trap, flipped through it briefly, then spit out a few words. 吸收火灵气. In a flash, a stream of fire-attributed spiritual energy gathered into my body. The surrounding disciples were all dumbfounded. That was fire-attributed spiritual energy, right? But he had just absorbed water-attributed spiritual energy. Next, to the shock of everyone present, I swiftly absorbed spiritual energies of various attributes, until I stopped after absorbing the lightning attribute, because I discovered some cultivators were innately aligned with two attributes. Two attributes were much stronger than just one. Meet wind with lightning, lead lightning with wind, wind and lightning in tandem. As soon as the words left my mouth, the spiritual energies around immediately changed. The lightning spiritual energy was absorbed by me, bringing the wind spiritual energy along, and the wind spiritual energy carried the lightning spiritual energy with it. In an instant, the two attributed spiritual energies surged into my body. At the same time, I felt some subtle changes occurring in my body. A bottleneck was directly shattered. In that moment, even more spiritual energy poured in. I had actually directly broken through to the temporary realm. The spectating disciples were practically frightened to tears by my monstrous perception. 2.5 hours to directly step into the temporary realm. This was was something no one could accomplish. Even I myself was quite surprised, because Luo Zi had said it would take a man to enter the Temporal Realm and become a true cultivator. Yet now I had only used 2.5 hours to enter the Temporal Realm. I smiled slightly, quite satisfied with my cultivation speed. With my conversion between the ancient divine language and cultivation techniques, my speed had indeed increased tremendously. But I was also curious. After I had converted the techniques into the divine language, at most it was comparable to lower tier spirit level martial arts. Crimson Sect should also have disciples who comprehended lower tier spirit level martial arts, but I hadn't seen cultivation speeds as fast as mine. I also didn't know why. Perhaps this world simply could not explain the charm of Chinese. Chinese is invincible. Now that I understood the techniques much better, next should be the mystical arts, as those were fundamental for combat, and so I also swiftly comprehended spiritual energies of various attributes. In a flash, 7 attributed spiritual energies erupted from my body, but I was very confused. The various attributes seemed largely consistent, with no distinctions of strength and weakness. So what exactly was my attribute? Could it be because I used Chinese that these differences were offset? But since the absorption was uniform anyway, I needn't bother which suited me or not. Then I bellowed lowly, 吞噬全属性灵气. In an instant, extremely powerful spiritual energy continuously poured into my body. Next, I opened my mouth again. 淬炼. Immediately, all the spiritual energy became even more refined. The next second, they coalesced into a pillar of light shooting straight into the clouds. Suddenly, countless colorful clouds appeared in the sky. Everyone who saw this phenomenon of heaven and earth revealed looks of shock. It must be some great power breaking through a realm again. After doing all this, I immediately headed towards the testing grounds. Since I couldn't discern a suitable attribute myself, I should try the orthodox method. I walked straight into the depths of the hall, but was stopped by 2 disciples right at the entrance. This was the path for Crimson Sect's elders to enter. Disciples cannot step in. I smiled and took out the elder's waist tag. The 2 disciples were greatly shocked. What? This is an elder?